oak tree forest, where the oak trees stood strong and majestic, and their branches spanned far and wide into the sky. The snow would pile up on the ground like a blanket, and dress the oak tree's branches like glittering white scarves. And deep within the forest filled with oak trees stood two lone apple trees, much shorter in comparison. The taller of the two apple trees was Mariana, and though she was much shorter than the oak trees, she stood strong and confident, embracing her thick branches and staying grounded as the harsh winter wind blew past her. If you could count the rings inside her trunk, you wouldn't count many, but Mariana was wise and mature beyond her years. The shorter of the two apple trees was Mariana's younger sister, Elena. Elena was not as confident and grounded as her older sister. When the winter wind blew past her, she would shake violently, and every night, instead of slipping into her dreams, she would stare up at the sky and marvel at the oak trees and their branches, because to Elena, the oak tree's branches spread so far out into the sky, it looked like they had stars on them. And so Elena would look up and long for stars on her branches. She would wake up her sister, "Psst, Mariana!" And Mariana would begrudgingly wake up. "What is it, Elena? It's time to go to sleep." "Look," Elena would say, "look at the oak trees. Look at the stars on their branches. I want stars on my branches. I want to be special like that." And Mariana looked down at her little sister, watched her marveling up at the trees, and said, "Be patient, hermanita, and go back to sleep." Soon, spring arrived in the great oak tree forest, and the sun's warm glow shined across all the tree's branches. And on the two apple tree sisters grew the most beautiful pink and white apple blossoms. As people came and strolled through the forest, they would stop by the apple trees just to smell the sweet scent of those apple blossoms. Mariana looked down at Elena and said, "You see, hermanita, look how everybody loves our apple blossoms. Don't you feel special now?" But still, when night came, Elena would look up at the sky and long for stars on her branches like the oak trees. "Psst, Mariana!" "What is it, Elena? It's the middle of the night. Look," Elena would say, "look at the oak trees. They have stars on their branches. I want stars on my branches. Why can't I be special like that?" And Mariana looked down at her little sister and said, "Be patient, hermanita, and go back to sleep, okay?" Soon, summer arrived in the great oak tree forest. And as the sun's heat grew stronger, so did the sisters' thick and brown branches. And although the oak trees were very tall and beautiful and majestic to look at, there was no shade quite as good as the one underneath those two apple trees. Everyone who strolled through the forest would stop underneath the two sisters' shades. People would read books, couples would nap, families would lay down picnics, all underneath the two sister apple tree shades. And Mariana looked down at her little sister and said, "You see, hermanita, everybody in the forest wants to come underneath our shade. Don't you feel special?" But still, at night, Elena would look up at the oak trees, and all she wanted was to have stars on her branches. "Psst, Mariana!" And Mariana would wake up again. "What is it, Elena? Look!" Elena would say, "Look at the oak trees. I want stars on my branches like the oak trees. Why don't I have stars on my branches?" And again, Mariana looked down at her little sister and said, "Be patient, hermanita, and go back to sleep, okay?" Finally, fall arrived in the great oak tree forest, and the green leaves turned to beautiful shades of yellow and orange and red. And all on the two apple tree sisters' branches grew the most beautiful red apples. And everyone who strolled through the forest just had to stop at the apple trees to try these apples. And once they tried them, they would rave about how they were the best apples in the world. Mariana and Elena watched as everybody took a munch out of their apples and exclaimed how they had never tried any apple that was better. And Mariana looked down at her little sister and said, "Now don't you feel special, hermanita? Look how everybody says our apples are the best apples in the world." And for a moment, Elena really did feel special, staring at all the people trying their apples. But then, night came and all those thoughts disappeared. Because when Elena looked up at the sky, at the oak tree's branches, all she wanted was to have stars on her branches. Psst! Mariana! Oh my gosh, Elena again? Look, Mariana! Look at how beautiful the stars are on those oak trees' branches. I want stars on my branches. It's not fair. Why don't I have stars on my branches? And Mariana again looked down at her little sister, this time completely surprised. Elena, I don't understand. Everyone says our apples are the best in the world. Everyone wants to sit under our shade. Everyone wants to smell our beautiful apple blossoms. And you don't feel special? Be patient, hermanita. But this time, Elena could not take it anymore. "Stop telling me to be patient," she yelled. And she got so angry that she started to shake and shake her branches more and more and more until finally an apple broke off one of her branches, fell through the sky, and landed on the ground beneath Elena with a thump. Elena looked down at the ground at the apple that fell and broke in half. "I have stars! Mariana, look! I have stars! I have stars!" And Mariana looked down at her little sister and the big smile on her face and said, "Of course, you have stars, hermanita. You've had them inside you all along." Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed this story. Now I want to take some time to teach you all how to cut your own apple so that they have stars inside them. So, all you need is an apple, any apple you want, any size, any kind of apple, and a knife, and also a plate or something to cut your apple on. You'll also need an adult to help you do this, just so you stay safe with the knife and make sure you don't cut yourself. So all you have to do is take your apple and then turn it sideways so that where the stems are to your right and left. And you're gonna set it down on your plate and just cut it right down there in the middle of the side. And you cut all the way down. And there you go. You should have your stars. I hope you all take a moment to try it at home with the help of an adult. And I hope you all realize the stars inside of you. Bye everyone.